Good afternoon, everybody. This is the advertised time and place for the Thursday, August 20th, 2026 Planning Board meeting. Please join the board in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. We do not have any public hearings tonight, so we're going to go right into discussion items. Matt, can you come up and talk to us about Squad Farm Realty LLC, please?
Sure, and invite Mr. Cuddy to the table. He's the applicant's representative. Very straightforward application we have here. It's a 4-lot subdivision on Fresh Pond Road in Calverton, just a little bit south of South Path. Everything pretty much conforms to zoning in terms of area and setbacks. The only thing that they'll need relief for is for lot width. They're all about 118, 120. Minimum for the zone, which is B40, is 150. So the way they have it set out now, they won't need any side yard or rear or front. Just the width is the issue. In terms of secret, this is an unlisted action. Other than that, it's very straightforward. There's water in the road. I'm still waiting on comments from Fire Marshal Fire District, but it'll be just driveways onto Fresh Pond Avenue. Yeah. We'll get recreational fees for each lot. There is an encroachment on proposed lot 1. If the board saw, it looks like just some accessory structures and a fence from the lot to the north, which will need to be resolved prior to signature. And that's kind of really it.
They need Mike Zaleski for 4.
Yeah, they'd get road opening permits for the curb cuts. Not a huge amount of traffic on the road, so I'm not too worried about 4 driveways. But yeah, that's it. So we have a resolution on today to classify as unlisted and adopt a neg deck. This way the applicant can go to the ZBA and get their required relief.
Are you served by the Riverhead Water District?
They are. There's water in the street.
In the past, was this part of any other subdivision?
It was not.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Pretty straightforward.
All right, let's move on to Innov8 Fitness site plan with Marisa.
Hi. While I set everything up, if you guys just want to introduce yourself for the record for the board.
Emily DeVito from Woodhull Expediting.
Matthew Elbert with R&M Engineering, Site Civil.
Alright, and then for the record, Marisa Danowski, site plan reviewer. Today I have in front of the board a site plan application entitled Innov8 Fitness. So it is a site plan that is what they're looking to do is they're proposing a 2-story building located in Wading River with exterior improvements, so parking and a turf area and a dumpster enclosure area. So with that, a little information, background information about the parcel. So it's a 1.29 acre parcel. It's currently vacant and wooded. It's on the northeast corner of Debbie Lane and Route 25A in Wading River. Some might know it as to the right to the east of it, there is a gas station, and across the street from that gas station is the Eastwind Shopping Center. It's also known as Suffolk County Tax Map number 670-75-1-10, and the zoning use district for this parcel is MRP, which is Multifamily Residential Professional Office Use. So there kind of allows a mixture of both residential and commercial within that use, and that is what is mainly surrounding this property, is a mixture of both. There's commercial, a couple of commercial buildings, and then there's also residential and condominium places as well. So going back to the proposed development, it's a two-story professional studio building. The first story, the first floor is about 7,800 square feet. Most of that first floor is to be utilized as like a gym area. There is two separate little gym areas, but that's majority of what that main level is going to be used for. There is a rollover door, like a garage door, and it brings you to that outside turf area that I was mentioning. The remaining pieces of like the first floor is a reception and juice bar area. There is seating there, and then there's also bathrooms and mechanicals and things of that nature. Then the second floor is a lot bit smaller. It's about 2,600 square feet. I labeled it as a recovery area. Excuse me. It has red light therapy up there, saunas. It also has a cold plunge tub. There's break rooms and there's offices. There's also a section that looks out open to below where the gym area is, that has like massage chairs and things of that nature. Getting to the exterior site improvements. So like I said, the train turf area, that's to be utilized when there's nice days. They can train outside in that back turf area. And then they are also looking to do the proposed dumpster enclosure, which is towards the east side of the property. I will make note when getting closer to discussing that, they will need ZBA relief for front yard. So this whole project does have to go in front of ZBA. So there is mainly due to setbacks and buffers of the landscape buffers. They would have to go to ZBA prior to any type of.
Have they been to the ARB yet?
Not yet. So I wrote down that I was going to refer it to ARB this coming month for this meeting, which is the 26th. However, I would like ZBA to approve and do the determination first of what they are to approve, and if just in case for any reason, if they make the building smaller or they rework the building, then it's going to have to go back to ARB anyway. So I would rather just get the the ZBA approval first, and then bring it in front of the Architectural Review Board.
Marissa, the fitness centers are allowed in that zone?
So it's it's under, in MRP, professional office buildings and professional studios are allowed, and that's what this is the case with that. So with that also, just continuing on with my notes, so there is a proposed 40 parking spaces with 2 handicap proposed spaces as well. Let me think. Then, so with this, for secret, it's an unlisted action. The coordinating review is optional, but it's not recommended for planning staff. With the parking area, there is a calculation on here, and it's saying that the required amount of parking per the calculation of the square footage of the building is 36, and there is a total of 40 spaces being provided, so it's plenty of parking, if not overparked. And then in regards to the access points, so they are proposing 2 curb cuts, one on Debbie Lane and one on North Country Road. Staff has no problem with the 2 parking spots. It's on part of the code in MRP is only allowed 1 curb cut access. I think it's a great idea to have the 2, personally. I think it would help a lot, especially because of how tight this parcel is. However, it does need to go to ZBA just because in the code it says 1 curb cut. So they are going to additionally go to ZBA for that reason to get 2 curb cuts.
Has the DOT seen this yet?
I did refer it out to DOT, and I have not heard back from them. So I have, from what I know, I referred it out. I just didn't get any information back.
Because the driveway that's exiting and entering off of Debbie Lane, it's It's estimated at about 75 feet off the corner of 25A. And the problem I have with that is, as I went out there and I sat there the other day, and you got cars that are westbound on 25A making the turn onto Debbie Lane.
Yep.
And they're accelerating coming out of that turn. So the cars exiting the shopping center here, I don't know if they'll be able to react fast enough if somebody comes around the corner.
Okay.
There's really not a lot of space. 75 feet isn't a lot of room when somebody's accelerating out of a turn and then somebody's trying to cross in front of them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so when I personally did, when I did my staff report, I made a recommendation of making that maybe an ingress only, that Debbie Lane at least. So it would only be into the property instead of both in and out. However, from code purposes, the 75 feet is what the minimum is, I believe, per our code.
Because there's no visibility is what I'm saying. When you stand on that, there is no visibility
Yeah.
to see what's coming westbound. Eastbound you can, if the people are going eastbound on 25A, but going westbound,
Okay.
there is no.
Yeah.
Have
So,
you
go ahead.
thought about just having it exit right onto 25A, in and out, like all the other shopping centers and businesses along there?
I mean, so our whole thing we talked about, I think prior, I don't know if it was in regards to making the entrance on Route 25A or not. Our main concern with that was, I mean, there are other properties that as well have the access from Route 25A. We were concerned also about keeping that, there's a lot of landscaping and native trees up in the front that kind of incorporate that road of the Pine Barrens region of keeping it very like a natural type landscape. That was one of our recommendations, is to keep that landscape buffer, but however, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't put that entrance on Route 25A.
Marissa, could they, for John's point, could they move that entrance and exit, say 25 feet more to the north? Just to give that, like 100 feet, or 90 feet, or 100 feet, on Debbie's Lane?
I mean, I could definitely, I just need to find a pen, but we can definitely work on it, to see if there's any room, wiggle room in regards to trying to push that, curb cut a little bit further, or if it does have to go to Route 25A. Again, I have no comments from DOT yet, so, I can reach back out to them to see if they have any comments regarding it.
And I like the second entrance and exit, which is not a well-traveled road, so in other words, they can
Yeah.
use it that way also.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will make note to talk to DOT in regards to the curb cut. And then also I will refer this, I did refer it over to the highway department, so I do not have comments from them yet. They would be the ones to ultimately talk about that 75-foot distance on Debbie Lane, because it's a town road. So I will mention it to them as well and see if they have any other additional comments. Let's see. So dumpster location, like I said before, it requires ZBA relief from the front yard. So they are looking to go to ZBA for that. I just made a note to make sure that it is screened per code, that it's the proper screening, and I have that written here that talks about Town Code 245-8, which states all dumpsters shall be fully enclosed with appropriate screening enclosures, no less than 5 feet and no more than 6 feet in height. And then it talks about shall be equipped with a lid and for durable construction, things of that nature. I also made note that when I was looking at this plan, I did not see anything in regards to lighting. So I just asked that we get a revised site plan for the exterior lighting of what's being proposed, and the photometric information. In regards to the landscaping, so going back over to the landscaping when we were talking about the entrance, the curb cut entrance, so I do need a landscape a landscape plan prior to the public hearing. With that, there are buffers in this zoning in regards to the proposed front yard landscape. So it's a minimum of 35 feet. So they're maintaining that 35-foot buffer on New York State Route 25A. Also, technically, the Debbie Lane side is considered a front yard. They are requesting relief from there in regards to a front yard setback, but also in regards to a landscape buffer, it slightly encroaches with the turf area and the building. And then as well, the North Country Road side, which is another front yard, so they are also going to ZBA for that relief as well for the setbacks. So they have 3 front yards: North Country Road, Debbie Lane, and New York State Route 25A.
Justin, can you bring up A2 on the screen or no?
I can't do it.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
I'm having technical difficulties.
Oh. Just to point out, when you go to NRB, I mean, that side paneling, I don't know if we can break it up with some windows or something. It's got three front yards, and if you look, there's an awful lot of siding with nothing breaking it up. Just bring that point up to the ARB.
Okay.
Not a big deal.
Marissa, what about signage, advertising? Is it going on the building? Is it going to be at the drive? Where is it?
So I have nothing on here that states about the signage, so I don't know the answer to that. I can get information in regards to that. But I know that was also in talks of the pre-submission meeting as well, but I just don't know what the determination was out of it. So I will ask and get you more information on that. So back with the landscape plan, just for reference, I'll need it before the public hearing. On the landscape plan, if we could there's usually a planting schedule included that has the species, sizes, and locations. Plants are to usually be native to what's around. I also will make note that as part of MRP in the code, it talks about existing vegetation, so what is there, and try to retain as much as possible. So it asks to indicate existing mature trees that are on the property and other significant vegetation. So across the street from here, just south, it is all pine barrens across the street and down. So south of New York State 25A and west, a lot of that is in the Pine Barrens area. So we're trying to keep that whole, because it's a very hard transition between like a natural Pine Barrens area that's really not developed, and then it goes directly, we try to make the transition as smooth as possible between residential and the Pine Barrens area. So with that, we're just asking to keep that 35-foot buffer. And also, Suffolk County Planning Commission made comments for the buffer as well. It is on in my staff report, page 5. The second note from the Planning Commission in the letter dated August 10th. It says, pursuant to town code, establish existing vegetation should be preserved rather than removed and replaced. The applicant should be encouraged. The only clear areas as needed and allowed wooded areas are to remain undisturbed and as long as possible. So even Planning Commission is stating that they kind of want to keep it in that rural look as well, as that's what Wading River Route 25A is mainly right now. There is also properties to the west that do have that buffer as well, that keeps it that rural character. There's a condominium right down the road that has that landscape buffer as well, keeping their vegetation as much as they can. So other than that, I referred it to DOT, didn't hear any comments yet. I'll reach out to them. Same with Department of Health. I referred it to the fire district, and I'm waiting for comments from them. Fire marshal, I did reach out to the fire marshal. He said he was going to get me some comments pretty soon. The Riverhead Highway, I didn't hear any comments back from him, but I could definitely reach out in regards to that curb cut on W Lane. The town engineer, I actually did get comments back from him yesterday, and he was just asking that a SWIP the SWIP will be required, as it's disturbing at least an acre of land. And he's also asking for a photometric lighting plan is required, which I stated in the exterior lighting plan. ARB, my only suggestion in regards to sending it to ARB is just to wait until we get the zoning board of appeals approval, just for any case they need to move that building around and redo it. But I will definitely give him that information when it comes time regarding windows to break up. So recommendations is that to go to the ARB, get the denial letter to get the necessary approvals that are needed. In the meantime, I do have a resolution on to at least classify it as a listed action and a negative declaration. Sorry, I can't speak today. And then once they obtain the relief that's needed, then we'll schedule a public hearing and go from there. Sorry, a lot of information and my mouth wasn't working.
That's good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Marissa.
All right.
Thank you very much. Good luck. We'll see you soon, I'm sure. Okay, Greg, golf course zoning use. The town board has listed us as an interested party.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, here to give the planning board a high-level overview of the proposed golf course zoning use district amendments that are being considered by the town board. The town board issued a positive declaration earlier in the month requiring the preparation of a draft generic environmental impact statement. What we're looking at is what I'll call a suite of code amendments related to creating a framework in order to create accessory golf cottages at 6 existing golf courses within the town. If you go to the last page of the packet that I provided, it identifies the 6 golf courses that we would target for the proposed rezoning. They consist of the Great Rock Golf Course, Bathing Hollow Club, Friars Head, Cherry Creek, the Woods at Cherry Creek, Long Island National Golf Course. So those would be the 6 courses that would be rezoned. We would be creating a new golf course zoning use district. The main reason this is being done is because pursuant to the recommendations of the 2024 comp plan, the plan recommended golf cottages with the use of transfer of development rights. Pursuant to New York town law, anytime you're creating a new receiving district or sending district, you need a draft generic environmental impact statement. When you create that GEIS, you're going to be looking at things such as water supply, emergency service, transportation capacity, sanitary wastewater management, etc. So there's a suite of code amendments, and I'll just go briefly through the different components of it. One, like I said, is the creation of the new zoning use district entitled Golf Course Zoning Use District. What I did is we had gone to the town board a couple of times to come up with a way to get this change in effect. One of my initial iterations was to rezone the golf courses to Residence A80, which is already a receiving district. Problem with that was these receiving districts have to be mapped with specificity, so we would still need a GEIS in order to do that. And then if we were to rezone them to RA80, there would have been a possibility for, if those golf courses closed, they could avail themselves of essentially allowing the double density to be used with the existing transfer of development rights. So thought was scrap that rather than have to justify the potential doubling of potential residential density. We would just create the golf course zoning use district. The new golf course zoning use district essentially mirrors almost word for word the existing 2-acre residential zoning districts, meaning APZ, RA80, RB80, in terms of the 2-acre residential density, minimum lot size, all the dimensional requirements, the permitted uses, with the exception of golf course zoning use district has golf course as a permitted use, which they're already golf courses, so rather than require a special permit for an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use, we'd eliminate that sort of extra step. So the golf course zoning use district, again, at its base is a 2-acre residential zoning use district, so there is no increase in the underlying residential density if we were to apply the golf course zoning use district to the golf course parcels. We are amending the official zoning map of the town of Riverhead to rezone those 6 existing golf courses to the GC zoning use district. We're amending the definitions in Town Code 301-3 to include a definition of golf cottage, which I will, bear with me one second, go through the packet and get you the definition. So the definition of a golf cottage is a permitted accessory use to a standard golf course, subject to the use of preservation credits as noted in section 301-208, intended to provide convenient lodging options for golfers or visitors wishing to stay on a golf course. Golf cottages are not to exceed 600 square feet of gross floor area per unit and shall be limited to 1 golf cottage per hole for a maximum of 18 cottages per standard golf course. Golf cottages can be freestanding structures or attached units with no more than 2 attached cottages with common walls separating units. Nothing contained within this definition shall be construed to permit the construction of restaurants, spas, or other type of amenities related to golf courses. Golf cottages shall remain under the ownership and operation of the golf course upon which they are located and shall not be subdivided or placed into condominium ownership for the purposes of transfer. Golf cottages shall not be used for the purposes of establishing residency within the town of Riverhead. So essentially, if a golf course wished to avail themselves and create golf cottages for a standard golf course, which again, we're amending the definition slightly to say a standard golf course has 18 holes and may include a clubhouse and golf cottage as accessory uses. Standard golf courses have a minimum size of no less than 125 acres. We're going to strike language in that right now that talks about a minimum par of 70 and a minimum of 6,000 yards as measured from the middle tees. At its base, if a golf course has a minimum size of 125 acres, 18 holes, it's considered a standard golf course. So if a golf course wanted to build 18 cottages, what they could construct would be 18 freestanding 600 square foot units, or they could construct, I'll call it a duplex just because I don't know how else to describe it, but 2 attached golf cottage units, each unit being 600 square feet. The total of that structure would be 1,200 square feet, and they could build 9 of those, what I'll call duplex units. In no way could they exceed 18 cottages on a standard golf course.
Suppose they already have, not to interrupt you, but suppose they already have 27 holes.
Out of the golf courses that we are seeing, of the golf courses that we're proposing the rezoning on, none of them have more than 18 holes. So they're only, I mean,
Debating Hollow had more than 18, and I'm not singling them out, believe me.
it's an interesting, I mean, I will look into that. To my knowledge, I didn't think they had more than 18, but
Just 18. Just 18. Bathing hall is just 18.
Right.
Just to clear it up before it comes up.
We don't want to see 3 miniature golf courses there in billion homes.
I mean, again, a golf course still has to have 125 acres. So in the event a course right now that exceeds 125 acres, if they wanted to try to subdivide off some property, if they go below 125 acres, they no longer meet the definition of the minimum size for a standard golf course. They have to still have it.
Tells any subdivision after they're built, correct?
As long as a golf course were to retain 125 acres, I mean, again, the way most of these golf courses are constructed, there's not a tremendous amount of excess land on what I'll call the periphery of the course that would really allow a subdivision to take place. You know, most of these courses are sort of designed where they encompass the entire property.
One more question while it's on my mind. What about cluster zoning? Can they cluster zone them?
The golf course zoning use district, again, does really very closely mirror the existing 2-acre residential zoning districts. It does require clustering. So in the event that a golf course, if one of these courses were to, if we change them to the golf course zoning use district, if they were to close that day, they could be redeveloped with a 2-acre clustered residential subdivision. So I mean, let's say a 150-acre course closed, they could develop, maybe a 75-lot residential subdivision that would require clustering and preservation of, open space and agricultural soils. I mean, the reality of it is most of these courses have already been, the prime agricultural soils are probably not there. They've been completely redeveloped, so they may just be open space and allow it to be,
I don't know if it still exists, but Great Rock had a lot of open space. They were trying to develop that into more, to include houses years back, not too many years back, because they had a lot of extra space now. I don't know if
Great Rock or Beating Hollow Club?
No, I'm talking about Great Rock. There was a lot because they were trying to redevelop that whole.
I know the Great Rock course, and I'm not super familiar with it, but I do recall seeing a lot of natural open space buffer areas. So I don't know how much excess land they would have for redevelopment.
I'm only asking the questions now, so that when they come up, then they'll come up.
Okay. All right, so 301, amending the definition, creating a definition of a golf cottage, amending the definition of a standard golf course. We would amend Town Code Section 301-208, the redemption of preservation credits to include the new golf course zoning use district as a receiving area, identify the redemption formula for the redemption of TDRs as it relates to the size of golf cottages. Right now, the proposed amendments as desired by the town board require one TDR for, I believe it's 1,200 square feet of development. Yes, 1,200 square feet of floor area for golf cottages. So essentially, if a course wanted to build the full 18 cottages that they're entitled to, it would require 9 TDRs. This is a departure from the recommendations of the comprehensive plan, which recommended 1 TDR per cottage. When this was initially discussed with a couple of work sessions with the town board, several of the board members said, they didn't feel that that was a viable number for 1 TDR for 600 square feet. So they made the recommendation to do 1,200 square feet of floor area per TDR.
So have you gotten to the point where who can rent these places? Do they have to be members, or they can be from the general public?
So we haven't discussed that. That is something that I probably would anticipate to come into discussion. How that would affect, environmental impacts, I'm not really sure that, I'm not really sure the sanitary wastewater, whether it's a member of the golf course or someone who's just renting it as a transient rent. I don't want to say transient rental, but functioning similar to a hotel, the impacts of the development and the structure and any type of improvements, I don't know that they necessarily would vary whether or not the tenant or the whoever's going to rent that structure for a period, whether it matters if they're a member or not.
We just received this lengthy document, so we're going to have to absorb it.
We haven't had time to look at
So I'm just giving you the kind of, again, the planning board is an interested agency. The planning board doesn't have approval authority for the zoning changes. I'm just giving you the.
What action does the planning board have to take? Is there?
Right now, the planning board doesn't have to take any action. You're an interested agency. Essentially the same ability to comment on the scope and the GEIS as a member of the public. The planning board, obviously, if a course wants to come in and develop these golf cottages, the planning board would be the agency reviewing the site plan, which, I mean, we're very familiar with reviewing site plans. But in terms of the action right now of the rezoning, the code amendments, the GEIS, the planning board is not an involved agency because you don't have direct permitting or approval authority over these series of actions.
Greg, these cottages, would only be used for golfers, or can they be used,
That's a good question.
if there are weddings or special events, can they be rented out at that time?
Well, so that was basically Mr. Nenero's question. I'm not sure that that's really relevant to the environmental review. I mean, but that's something that the town board could consider. I mean, again, really, in terms of the functionality of a golf cottage, if someone's staying in it, someone's staying in it. Whether or not they're a member of the course, again, I'm not really sure if that's any sort of bearing on environmental impacts.
But they are called golf cottages.
Golf cottages,
Yeah.
correct. And then last action would be including, we're amending the Residence District Schedule of Dimensional Regulations to include dimensional regulations for the new golf course zoning use district, which again, exactly mirror what the 2-acre residential zoning use districts currently require. So minimum lot size of 80,000 square feet, lot width of 175 feet, 15% impervious surface, 35-foot maximum height of buildings, 60-foot front yard depth, 30-foot, 65-foot side yard combined, 60-foot side yard abutting side street, and a 75 rear yard depth, which again exactly mirrors the 2-acre residential zoning use districts. So there would be no increase in potential density, if a course were to close and then redevelop to a residential subdivision.
Usually you're allowed to be 35 feet high if...
I mean, right now the existing maximum height of a structure in APZ, RA80 and RB80 is 35 feet. I don't see a golf cottage at 600 square feet. I don't see someone building a 35-foot tall, 600 square foot structure. I would see this more of a single story, maybe 18 feet with a peaked roof, like keeping in character with a Norfolk development. I mean, I don't see why you'd build a...
No, I understand, I agree with you on that, but do you think you ought to just set a height this way somewhere down the road if somebody decides that they want to build a 2-story, or to keep it like...
So the maximum height is for the dimensional regulation. So I mean, think of that also applies to a single-family residence. So I mean, right now, in every residential zoning use district, the maximum height is 35 feet. So I mean, you get a 2-story with a peaked roof, you approach that. So there's nothing changing from the existing zoning in terms of maximum permitted height.
We're defining the square footage that they could be.
Yeah, could they be
Why
2
not
stories?
Right, why not just define the height that they can be too?
I mean, so if one cottage is a maximum of 600 square feet, if you build a 2-story cottage, and we can, maybe through the review of this, we amend and tweak those definitions, but I mean, you're gonna build a 2-story structure with each floor having 300 square feet. I mean, it seems really...
You said you can put 2 together at 1,200 square feet. So why wouldn't you take 600 on the bottom floor, 600 on the second floor, and there's your 1,200 square feet? Are you considering that, or just 2 separate 600s? It's just a question, Greg, that's all. John brought up a good point.
So I mean, again, that could be something I think maybe we could refine the definition of the golf cottage to be 1 story. That way you're only going to get a 1,200 square foot footprint for a duplex if they wanted to build the 2 attached cottages. But practically, I wouldn't see someone building a 35-foot tall, 600 square foot cottage. It's like you're gonna walk in, you're gonna have the tallest cathedral ceiling I've ever seen in my life in a 600 square foot structure. Again, the things that we will look at through the draft scope will be, the introduction of the proposed action needs. Environmental resources will go through. Water resources will discuss their locations within existing Riverhead Water District extensions. We'll discuss their location within Suffolk County groundwater management zones. We'll discuss allowable sanitary densities, potential impacts from the construction of these. We'll consider a maximum theoretical build-out if every course were to avail themselves of this new zoning and every course wanted to build 18 cottages. We would look at that also in terms of transportation. And then there's some, we're required to look at alternatives. One would be the no action alternative. The other alternative, like I discussed briefly, would be rezoning to RA 80. But again, that action would have, some unintended increased density consequences. So that is the sort of golf cottage series of code amendments and the purpose and intent. Again, planning board's under no obligation to comment. You're not an approval agency at this point. I'm just bringing it to the board for its knowledge and purpose. I will relay some of the comments, and I will keep them in mind as we go forward with the GEIS, just in terms of the 2 stories. I know I had spoke with Mr. Hogan just about building construction and what they'll be considered if they'll need to meet certain commercial standards or residential standards. So we'll take that all into consideration as we move forward.
Okay, good job, Greg. All right, everybody good on that? Okay, at this time, we're going to have public comments on resolutions. Any takers? Mr. Supervisor? No, sir. Okay. Barbara? All right. Gentlemen, let's run the resolutions.
I'll move resolution 2026-53, Squad Farm Realty LLC for the minor subdivision resolution classifying an action as unlisted pursuant to SECRA, and for the minor subdivision, so moved.
Second.
Moved in second, Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
I'll move resolution 2026-054, Susan McCarthy, minor subdivision, resolution granting extensions of minor subdivision approval for the subdivision application entitled Susan McCarthy, minor subdivision, so moved.
Second.
Moved in second, Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
Resolution 2025-055, 840 Oak Country Road. Resolution granting site plan approval for the site plan application entitled 840 Old Country Road, which seeks approval to construct an approximately 6,000 square feet addition.
Second.
Moved in second. You guys want to vote on this today, or? Moved in second, Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
Resolution 2025-56, Innov8 Fitness to classify an action as an unlisted action, issue a negative deck pursuant to SECRA, so moved.
Second.
Moved in second, Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro? And I vote aye, the motion carries. Okay, at this time, public comments on any matter. Not seeing any hands, can we move the minutes?
I'll move the minutes of July 16th, so moved.
Second.
Moved in second, Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
And I vote aye, the motion carries. Greg, any secret actions? Nope. Oh, there you are. Any other business, staff?
No.
All right, good job. No correspondence? Wow, it was a light week.
We did get one yesterday morning, but that'll be included on the next agenda.
Our next meeting date is Thursday, September 3rd, at 6 PM right here. Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you, and everybody have a great weekend.